لبنان إذا استمرت هذه التفجيرات هو على حافة الهاوية.
أما النظام لن يبقى في الشارع، ساقط
over the Hermel rocket attacks. Senior EU diplomats are meeting in Brussels to assess the situation in Egypt and possible action. And a team of UN experts begin investigations into the alleged use of chemical weapons in the Syrian conflict. President Michel Sleiman has expressed grave concern with the shelling that took place in the Bekaa region of Hermel over the weekend. He tasked the Army Command to determine the location from where they were fired in order to tackle the situation with the appropriate means. Sleiman says the recent events have obviously become a way to create tensions in Lebanon and spread the Syrian crisis into the country. He added Lebanon will confront such attempts and take all measures to protect stability and civil peace. 5 rockets landed in and around Hermel, a Hezbollah stronghold, on Sunday. It isn't clear whether the rockets were launched from inside Lebanon or from across the border in Syria. A military commander of Lebanon's Hezbollah has been killed in fighting near the Syrian capital of Damascus. Residents say Hussam Ali Nasser, aged 33, has been buried in his southern hometown of Farsir. One resident said he was defending Sayyidah Zainab, which houses a Shiite shrine southeast of Damascus, when his group was attacked and he was killed. Nasser's killing comes after Hezbollah chief Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah says he was ready to go to Syria to fight extremists he accused of staging a deadly car bomb attack in the southern suburbs of Beirut last Thursday. The bodies of 14 victims of the Dahi explosions have been handed over to their relatives after authorities identified them through DNA tests. The delivery process took place under the supervision of Judge Sami Sadr, the government's deputy commissioner at the military court. The national news agency says the DNA test also identified a Syrian national among the victims. The source says the preliminary investigations are still ongoing, and the car used to deliver the explosives has been identified as a black 2002 BMW. Beirut's Dahi is experiencing heavy traffic today due to strict security measures imposed by Hezbollah. A Turkish pilot refuses to fly a Beirut-bound plane from Istanbul in a show of protests against the kidnapping of 2 of his colleagues in Lebanon. Local media says Yilmaz Ozgen Turk, a captain at Turkish Airlines, left the cockpit after announcing the passengers in Turkish and English that he will not fly to Beirut in protest of the abduction. The plane eventually took off after a new pilot was sent. The airline has launched a probe into the action of the captain, who reportedly said it was his personal choice. On August 9th, gunmen ambushed a bus carrying Turkish Airlines crew from Beirut's international airport to a hotel in the city and snatched its 2 pilots. Moving on to Egypt, traffic is once again choking the roads and bridges of Cairo. Residents are trying to get on with their lives. Egyptians are trying to return to their normal lives as the political standoff continues. Military vehicles and troops closed off main roads and junctions, mainly the one leading to Tahrir Square. The government has declared curfew for a month, which starts at 7 p.m. and ends at 6 a.m. Banks are open, but only for 3 hours. At 8 a.m., some shops and businesses were open, but many remain closed. In downtown Cairo, residents say they are concerned that the crisis will take a long time to resolve. At least 850 people have died since Wednesday in clashes pitting followers of deposed Islamist President Mohamed Morsi against the army-backed government. Suspected fighters have ambushed 2 police minibuses in Egypt's northern Sinai, firing rocket-propelled grenades, killing at least 24 officers. Security officials say this morning's attack took place as 2 vehicles were driving through a village near the border town of Rafah. At least 2 others were injured when the unknown fighters fired off the buses. Officials say Egypt shut Rafah border crossing, which is the only way most Palestinians in Gaza can leave the territory after the deadly attack. Senior European Union diplomats are meeting in Brussels to assess the situation in Egypt and possible EU action. The diplomats will also discuss convening EU foreign ministers, but no decision on when the ministers will meet has been taken. EU governments will question how to best use their economic ties with Egypt to pressure Cairo's army-backed rulers into finding a peaceful compromise with supporters of deposed Islamist President Mohamed Morsi. Officials say a €5 billion package of grants and loans promised by the EU could be at stake. The EU's ability to exert immediate economic pressure on Cairo is, however, limited because of inadequate democratic reforms. But the hope is that such a signal could help end a bloody crackdown by the government against Morsi's Muslim Brotherhood. Former Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak will be released from a jail soon after a prosecutor cleared him in a corruption case. This is according to his lawyer and a judicial source. Mubarak, 85, was arrested after he was ousted during an uprising in 2011. In scenes that mesmerized Arabs, the former leader appeared in a courtroom cage during his trial on charges that ranged from corruption to complicity in the murder of protesters. The only legal grounds for Mubarak's continued detention rest on another corruption case which his lawyer, Farid Adib, says will be settled swiftly. A judicial source says the former leader will spend another 2 weeks behind bars before authorities make a final decision in the outstanding case against him. A team of UN experts began investigations into the alleged use of chemical weapons in the Syrian conflict. The 20-member team, which arrived in Damascus on Sunday, is led by Swedish chemical weapons expert Åke Sällström. Its mission will be limited to investigating the alleged use of chemical weapons in 3 areas, mainly the March 19 attack in Khan al-Assal, which President Bashar al-Assad blames on rebels. The other 2 sites have not been disclosed yet. Assad had refused to allow a broader UN investigation into allegations of chemical use, including charges that have been leveled by the United States, Britain, and France. But now the Syrian government has vowed to fully cooperate. The Syrian army has recaptured all rebel-held positions in Latakia, President Bashar al-Assad's home province. This is according to the state-run Sana news agency, which says the army retook control of Nabi Ashia mountain range in adjoining areas in the north of Latakia province. The villages were seized in early August by rebels trying to topple Assad. A Syrian security force told reporters that the army still has to recapture the Salma region, a strategic area along the border with Turkey, which has been in rebel hands since the end of last year. Well, coming up next, the humanitarian agency Save the Children officially hand over their Lost Child program to be run by Syrian refugees. Stay with us for more. Welcome back. The humanitarian agency Save the Children officially hand over their Lost Child program to be run by Syrian refugees in a ceremony held in the Zaatari camp. The program was initiated in April after many instances of children getting lost in the sprawling desert camp. Its purpose is to help parents locate their lost children and make the camp more easily navigated by installing maps and signs. The Zaatari camp, the world's second largest refugee camp, is located 80 kilometers northeast of the capital of Amman and is home to more than 160,000 Syrian refugees who fled the conflict in their country. The Lost Child tent has been reassuring to many parents who have suffered much stress and trauma as a result of the conflict taking place in their country. 6 people have been killed following attacks in Iraq as gunmen defied massive government operations to stem some of the world's violence to have hit the country in 5 years. Security forces have mounted some of the biggest operations targeting militants since the 2011 withdrawal of American troops. Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki has vowed to press on with the security campaign in a bid to combat the country's worst bloodshed since 2008, with more than 3,500 people killed since the start of the year. Today's attacks concentrated in Mosul in northern Iraq, that has long been one of the country's most violent areas. Officials say 3 workers in a carpentry shop were shot dead by militants, while 2 policemen were gunned down in a pre-dawn attack on a checkpoint. A man has taken several people hostage in the town hall of Ingolstadt just hours before Chancellor Angela Merkel was due to hold a speech in front of the building in the southern German city. Police says the man said he was armed and they were in contact with him by telephone, although he had not yet made any demands. Authorities evacuated the building and closed off part of the town following the abduction. They added there was no sign of a connection with Merkel's visit. A United Nations mandated commission has met with South Korean Prime Minister Chung Won-won and Second Vice Foreign Minister Cho Ye-tul ahead of public hearings on North Korea's human rights abuses. The UN Human Rights Council launched an independent commission of inquiry in March in Geneva in a bid to address North Korea's human rights record. It was given a 1-year mandate to investigate alleged violations of human rights in North Korea. The commission, led by Michael Kirby, will begin a series of public hearings at Yonsei University in Seoul from August 20th to 24th, aimed at gathering information from North Korean defectors living in the South or the families of South Korean kidnapped to the communist country. The commission said it is scheduled to present its final report containing findings and recommendations concerning imprisonment, torture, and kidnapping committed by the North to the Council in March next year. And now for news around the world in brief. The first same-sex weddings are taking place across New Zealand after the country has legalized gay marriage. It follows a parliamentary decision to amend the country's 1955 Marriage Act. In passing the bill, the country becomes the first in the Asia-Pacific region and 14th in the world to legalize same-sex marriage. An oil spill from a ferry which sank in the Philippines and killed at least 52 people has reached the nearby coastal villages, threatening the livelihood of the residents. The ferry sank on Friday after a collision just outside the central port of Cebu with a cargo vessel owned by companies involved in the world's worst peacetime maritime disaster nearly 30 years ago. The ferry was loaded with 120,000 liters of bunker oil and 20,000 liters of diesel fuel. South African Olympic and Paralympic star Oscar Pistorius, accused of murdering his model girlfriend, prayed and wiped tears away in a court hearing which set a March 3, 2014 start date for his trial. Detailed charges were presented outlining the prosecution case of premeditated murder against Pistorius, who has admitted shooting Riva Steenkamp through a bathroom door at his Pretoria home on Valentine's Day. Today is World Humanitarian Day, and on the occasion, YouTube star Kid President has his dream come true recently when he got to interview Beyoncé. The 10-year-old, who makes online videos in collaboration with new media company Soul Pancake, talked to the top icon as part of the new global campaign for World Humanitarian Day. Beyoncé has joined the United Nations and other organizations to support the campaign, which enables companies to sponsor a word they feel the world needs more of. Whenever a sponsored word is shared by people using social media, $1 of money pledged will be unlocked and go towards aid efforts in humanitarian crises that need it the most. Check it out.
Yeah. So Beyonce. Take 2. Who encouraged you when you were a kid?
My mother encouraged me, and I think it's so important at that age to feel safe and to know that you have someone there supporting you and standing by you.
Do you like the video I made for you?
I absolutely love the video you made for me. I can't believe I'm sitting here with the Kid President. I was very excited to meet you today.
So Beyonce, August 19th is World Humanitarian Day. And we're asking people to tell us what the world needs more of. Why is World Humanitarian Day so important?
Well, I know it's so admirable, the people around the world that dedicate their lives to other people. And I think it's so important for us to take some time and be unselfish and have compassion, because we really can impact the world.
So Beyonce, what do you think the world needs more of?
Well, I think the world needs more strong, empowered men and women. So I think the world needs more strength.
Ah, straight. Good answer. Are we best friends?
Only if I get a kiss on my cheek.
Okay.
Come on, get president. Thank you.
Thank you for doing an interview with me.
Thank you for interviewing me. Can we get a fist bump?
Yeah.
You're a cute kid. And on that note, we end our bulletin for today. And now here's a recap of our headlines. President Michel Sleiman expresses security concern and asks the army to launch an investigation over the Hermel rocket attacks. Senior EU diplomats are meeting in Brussels to assess the situation in Egypt and possible action. Finally, a team of UN experts begin investigations into the alleged use of chemical weapons in the Syrian conflict. Those were your Monday headlines from the English news team here at Future Television. We'll see you again tomorrow for more updates. Until then, have a great evening.
لبنان إذا استمرت هذه التفجيرات وعلى حافة الهاوية.
هذا النظام لن يبقى في الشارع ساقط.